You think they make refrigerators to last? You think they make cell phones to last? They make washers and dryers to last?
They used to at some point, but they've learned.
No, they make them to break down.
Here with Dr. Palevsky, renowned pediatrician, and dear man in my heart, because as you'll find out about me on the website, that I do as much as I can for the kids, and most of the time it's for free. So, I mean, how we are not taking care of our kids just blows me away, and the evil that we have to deal with. So, thanks for being here, Doc. I appreciate everything you do. I love everything you do, and I love your hardcore attitude and right in your face, because that's how we have to be if we're going to get to this next step of this fight that we're in.
Right.
So what do you think we need to do moving forward to keep this momentum that we've gotten?
Well, I think, Vic, I don't think people realize how many children are sick. And I mean chronically sick. I mean kids who have breathing problems, have skin problems, who have intestinal problems, liver problems, who have joint problems, ear, nose, and throat problems, neurological issues. There's a lot of chronic illness in our country. And we have accepted it. We've just said, oh yeah, this is norm. It's normal for so many kids to have asthma. It's normal for kids to have allergies. It's normal for kids to have developmental delays. And so we've gotten to the point where we've accepted it as the norm, and because the medical profession is not interested in why, people have accepted, oh, well, they're just gonna have to live with it, and they can't do anything about it. They're just gonna have to accept that their kids will be on medications for life, and they'll always have these health problems. Yet, there are tons of parents who are starting to wake up, who are starting to realize, no, wait a second, chronic illness is not a life sentence. Chronic illness doesn't have to happen. We can actually make different choices to not only prevent chronic illness from happening, but we can make choices to reverse some of these chronic illnesses so that my child doesn't have to stay on medications all their life. My child doesn't have to avoid foods all their life. My child doesn't have to go through therapies all their life. And so we're getting uncomfortable with the discomfort, but we haven't gotten there enough because more people are still accepting, well, yeah, my child has this label or my child has that label.
But fortunately, when my kid has this label or this chronic disease, there's always a drug for it,
Correct.
Right? And so these people that are pushing these drugs know what they're doing to these kids when they're vaccinated and other things they're doing in the childhood part of it. So how do we change that mentality towards the drug companies where they think it's a fix, but they're the ones actually creating the lifelong customers?
We live in a culture that utilizes what's called the Hegelian dialect. And what that means is we create a problem, we have a reaction to the problem, and then we find the solution. But the solution is never to really understand why the problem was created in the first place. And so let's take it, for instance, somebody has a water leak in the garage. That's a problem. What's the reaction? Panic. What's the solution? Get the water out. It's the same with asthma. Asthma's a problem. Kid can't breathe. What's the solution? Medication. Now, if you were dealing with the leak of water in your garage or your basement, would you ever just stop at being proficient at eliminating the water? Or would you try to figure out why the water's coming into the basement in the first place? Most people would not be happy with just getting a procedure to clear out the water and feel like they've solved the problem. Most people would say, what's the cause? What's the contributing factor? So why don't we do the same with asthma?
I hear you, because there's a mechanism of mind control where they just push it onto the families and the parents to where they think there is no other fix. The only fix
Correct.
is the drugs we're giving you.
Right.
And you alluded on it earlier that now people are starting to open their eyes and they're like, wow, we can fix our kids if we do this, this, and this.
Right.
And so I think the only way we can get to that next step is if we do something in DC. So as you know, I'm running for Congress in the state of Rhode Island. Your opinion, what's the best thing I could do to help push this message forward so we can finally fix our kids?
Well, I'm not someone personally and professionally who believes that it's a top-down answer.
Okay.
I believe it's a bottom-up answer, which means that the information and the education needs to go to the public. The public is responsible for making the demands for the changes they want to have seen. Because if they don't make it, there's no incentive for anybody who's in a so-called elected position to make any changes. And so if we begin to educate more and more parents, hey, did you know that there are ways to understand why your kid has asthma? Hey, did you know that there are ways for you to understand why your kid's ear fluid doesn't go away, or their tonsils and adenoids are big, or why your child is full of eczema and you can't get it any better? See, parents don't know that there's another way because they only rely on the medical profession. And so what I've heard over the years is, well, if that's true, my doctor would tell me that.
Yes, sir.
And so those people may never change. But for those people who look at the landscape and say, why are so many kids sick? Why are so many kids on medications? Why are so many kids having emotional, mental, and behavioral problems? Why are so many kids developmentally delayed? Why are so many kids in school getting allergy shots, or you can't bring these foods because so many kids have food allergies? Little by little, it's our responsibility on the ground to start educating parents. Hey, do you know that we can make different choices in our lives to prevent these diseases from happening? Did you know that we can make different choices in our lives to start to reverse these conditions? Modern medicine says, this is just it. This is it. 1 in 6 kids with neurodevelopmental disabilities. We don't care why so many kids are having neurodevelopmental delays. We're just going to give you the right treatments to fix it. And 1 in 5 children with mental, emotional, and behavioral issues, no, we don't care why it's happening. We're just going to find the right treatments for your kid. And more parents are saying, hold on a second. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And so I think the education of the public, the offering of information to the public, that not only are there ways for them to control diet, lifestyle, home environment, education, choices that they're making at home, but there are also even treatments that will allow their children to get better that don't require a pharmaceutical drug.
I agree with you 100% because I am part of that bottom-up education. I didn't know anything 5 years ago. I didn't know anything as far as the vaccines maybe 2.5 years ago. That's how new to this movement I am. So, but I am taking what I learned from that bottom-up, agreeing with you, and I'm going to bring it to DC and I'm going to educate there. And then hopefully there's more around the country that are already educated when they get to DC that we can make that top-down, bottom-up move.
Meet each other.
And just finish this,
Right.
Doc, thank you.
Thank you.
I know you've had a busy day and you've
Yeah.
got some things to take care of. I appreciate your time and I love when I see you. Okay, sir?
Good luck, Vic.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right,
sir.
take care.